This is He Knows Everything, bringing you that heat and that far. We keeping a foot on the wood, yeeks. We keeping a foot on the wood, yeeks. And like the treaded marriage shift that I am, man, like the Siberian tiger that I am, I'm applying what on immediate pressure. This pressure does what? He bursts his pipes. Let's talk about it, man. All right, let's get right into the nitty gritty of it. So hear me, fucking well. Let's talk about it. Kevin Durant. What people have to understand is, I laugh and I scoff at so-called basketball heads that say that Kevin Durant got exposed with the Oklahoma City Thunder, that Kevin Durant failed with the Oklahoma City Thunder. Let me explain something to you guys. Kevin Durant in 2012 took the Oklahoma City Thunder to the NBA Finals. The Oklahoma City Thunder was a team that could have achieved even more feats than that. But Kevin Durant, they say he's not a leader. He took Russell Westbrook and James Harden to the 2012 NBA Finals. Do you guys know the teams that they usurped that year to get to the NBA Finals? They usurped Kobe Bryant's Lakers. They usurped the San Antonio Spurs. They had arduous feats that they had to go through to get exactly what they went through. And they also usurped Dirk Nowitzki's Dallas Mavericks. This is what their 3 rounds were before they played the Miami Heat. Heck, look at their 4 rounds that they played. Lakers, Mavericks, Spurs, and then they topped it off and caveated it off with Miami Heat. Miami Heat had the easiest run that year. If you go look at their run in 2012, it did not compare with the run that the Oklahoma City Thunder had. I can guarantee you that. I want you guys to go and put up the NBA Encyclopedia, pull up the NBA Vernacular, and look at Miami Heat's schedule in the first 4 rounds. I mean the first 3 rounds, and then the NBA Finals. Go look at Oklahoma City Thunder. They played the Lakers. They played the Mavericks. They played the Spurs. And then they played the Miami Heat. That's arguably the hardest 4 rounds any team has played in NBA history in the playoffs, period. Let me say it again, because what I said was so deep and profound. So hear me fucking well. That means you have to play perfect basketball every round. Y'all not catching this, man. This is why I laugh and I scoff at so-called basketball heads that say that Kevin Durant failed with Oklahoma City Thunder. This is what he did. This is who he had to face. And he was doing this. And this is why it's so impressive. He was doing this with the knucklehead in Russell Westbrook of Russ Westville Brick. Russ Westville of Westbrook was screwing everything up. This guy right here was hogging. For Kevin Durant to engineer such a level of dominance to get past Kobe Bryant, Ron Artest's hellified defense, man. You guys don't understand the level of defense that Ron Artest was putting on Kevin Durant. And Kevin Durant showed Ron Artest, you can't guard me, dog. You can no longer guard me. This is not 2010. He played against Dirk Nowitzki. Dirk Nowitzki that year said, hey, man, this guy has excelled past me. Anything that I've done, this guy is way past that. He's on a higher level than I could ever imagine of being as a basketball player. He has usurped me on every scale. He's usurped me in every imaginative thought process. He's me, but he's athletic with it. Dirk even deferred. And then he played against Tim Duncan, Manu Ginobili, Tony Parker. Don't get me started, man. It was those Spurs that he had to deal with. He had to deal with that precarious team. And that was their Western Conference Finals. Talk about being battle tested. But NBA fans don't tell you this. They tell you that Kevin Durant failed. And if you go look at so many years after that, if it wasn't an injury that Kevin Durant sustained, or injury that Russell Westbrook sustained, or the fact that they had situations that didn't bold in their favor, Sam Presti made an inept move to not keep James Harden. James Harden wanted $80 million. They're only willing to pay him between 56 to 58. This is not something that can't be qualified, calculated, verified, and certified. This is actually what happened. Then they end up getting Kendrick Perkins, who was more cons than pros at that time. Oklahoma City went through the mud, man. And in the midst of everything that they did, they were still able to even make Western Conference Finals on top of NBA Finals. This is impressive, what they've done. They've beaten the Spurs in Western Conference Finals. They've lost to the Spurs in Western Conference Finals. That was the year that Kawhi Leonard locked up Kevin Durant. They've dominated in so many fashions. They went to the Western Conference Finals against the Golden State Warriors. But when you look at that series, a lot of things was a peeling of the layers of the onion. That's when Kevin Durant was fed up at that point. Because Russell Westbrook, or Russell Westville of Russell Westbrick, didn't get the message. Or he didn't pay attention. He wasn't a willing Robin. He was basically what we would say a high-octane beta, aka alpha wannabe. He was a Red Hood. He was a renegade Robin the whole time. This is what Kevin Durant was dealing with, man. Y'all don't give Kevin Durant credit for this. You think LeBron James would have been able to deal with the mental stress and pressure of a Russell Westbrick, of Russ Westville? No. He would have been wanting him off the team. He would have been wanting him excoriated off the team. So we got to give Kevin Durant salute for that, man. 2012, they went to the NBA Finals and Kevin Durant was robbed. It was a highway robbery. They had to paint LeBron James as a basketball player that wasn't a failure. That year, Stephen A. Smith said, if LeBron James doesn't win the NBA title, he will be the biggest bust the NBA's ever seen. I remember all of these things clear, crystal clear, like a crystal clear ball, because my memory is impeccable. And I'm not reading nothing. I'm going off the dome. But my dome is flawless when it comes to these things, because they can be calculated, verified, certified, approved, and authorized. That year in the NBA Finals, a Joel Anthony went to the free throw line more than Kevin Durant. Y'all don't give Kevin Durant credit. The year that the Golden State Warriors played the Toronto Raptors, if Kevin Durant doesn't go down with Achilles, we're talking about Kevin Durant having 4 NBA titles to LeBron James' 3. Because clearly he would have whooped LeBron James in 2012. He would have been ahead of LeBron. At this fucking point, y'all not wrapping y'all brains around that. Kevin Durant went to 4 NBA Finals. That's why I'm laughing when y'all sit here and act as if y'all say Stephen Curry and them helped them. Kevin Durant already went to the finals. What help did they give Kevin Durant? Kevin Durant just needed a willing fucking Robin. And if Russell Westbrook or Russell Westville of Russell Westbrick would have played exactly the way that Stephen Curry did, not play like he's Stephen Curry, because that will never happen, but play in the sense of being deferred, in playing of deferment, deferring to the option one, and i.e. Kevin Durant, we wouldn't be talking about the situation that has fallen on deaf ears with the Oklahoma City Thunder. What we would be talking about is the fact that Oklahoma City Thunder would have exposed LeBron James. And that would have been the biggest exposure. That would have put LeBron James in LeBron status. So at the expense of Kevin Durant, that's why Kevin Durant went and cried to his mom. They had to give LeBron James an NBA title. Lagoon Reffing was behind that. LeBron and LePaid was behind that. Every scenario that created the dichotomy of what you call a fraudulent was behind it, to save LeBron James from the embarrassment that a Kevin Durant would have exposed him. And Kevin Durant still dropped 32 PPGs per game. Still was a 50, 40, 90 walking gazelle. Could you imagine if Kevin Durant went to the free throw line? We're talking about 50 points per game. Kevin Durant was better than LeBron James at that fucking time. LeBron couldn't guard him. He couldn't check him. But LeBron was like, hey, I need fucking help. And Dwayne Wade was able to lock up Russell Westbrook. Dwayne Wade was truly the finals MVP in that series. And Dwayne Wade doesn't give enough credit for that. Because Dwayne Wade realized this guy right here doesn't understand the level of player that he has in Kevin Durant. So we're going to snuff him. I'm going to muff him defensively. And that's when Dwayne Wade was towards the tail end of having those hellified defensive legs. Dwayne Wade is probably, arguably, the greatest shooting guard blocker I've ever seen, dog. The way he blocks the ball as a shooting guard, it's impressive, man. It's off the fucking charts. The way this guy was blocking shots as a shooting guard. But they don't tell you this. Ultra fanboys with the ultra fanboy rhetorics don't tell you this. Rudy Poo and Plum Plum Brains don't tell you this. Classic Goats and Troglodytes don't tell you this. That's why I laugh. Kevin Durant is already a legend beyond a legend. That's why the Walt Frazier's of the world said, man, Kevin Durant, that dude can play against anybody. That's why I laughed when Scottie Pippen said he would be limited. Another NBA great, and Walt Frazier said, no, Kevin Durant, that guy could play in any fucking era. Because he's a 50, 40, 90 walking gazelle. He's an anomaly. He's an enigma, man. That's why Kobe Bryant, you don't understand the level of praise that Kobe Bryant gave this guy when he said, this guy's complete, man. When he saw him in the Olympics the first time in 08, there's nothing this guy cannot do on the basketball court. He has a complete game. He just needs to work on his mental. Go look at everybody else from the Mamba Academy. Go look at everybody else from Mamba Mentality. Go look at everybody else that were Mamba students. Kobe never talked about him that way. And when Kobe was leaving the league, he told Kevin Durant, be the greatest, and signed his fucking shoes. They had the passing of the guards, the passing of the torch moment. So yes, Kevin Durant is as great as he is. This guy could have had 4 fucking rings. This is the problem with prisoners of the moment. This is the problem with people that have amnesia. They don't understand basketball, man. But over here, we're going to put respect on Kevin Durant's name. This is a guy that potentially had 4 NBA finals that he could have acquired. One, because Russell Westbrook didn't fucking get it. 2, because Russell Westbrook didn't fucking get it. And James Harden nutted up like he always does. Tony Romo, a.k.a. Zab Judah, look, he just nutted up again. That's why I told you guys he should be a 6th man of the year. This is where he belongs at his truest and his most prosperous levels. A 3rd fucking wheel. Because he just doesn't show up when it matters the most. You get all the heavyweight lifting from this guy in the regular season. But come postseason, he's a disappearing act. This is what Kevin Durant was dealing with. And in the midst of Sam Presti's inept moves. Because what people have to understand is NBA championships are always and almost also ran and run and dominated by the front office. And if the front office is not doing what they're supposed to, you can't blame the player. Kevin Durant signed 2 extensions. And people say he bolted from OKC. He signed 2 fucking extensions. He showed how dedicated he was. LeBron didn't even do that shit. LeBron bolted as soon as the liquid game happened. So stop the presses. Pump the brakes on the fucking nonsense. And go sit down somewhere and what? Higgity fucking hush, man. Because when it's all said and done, if you're not acknowledging these things, if you're not mindful of these things, if you're not admitting and saying these things, you're not a basketball fan. You're not qualified to talk basketball. 2012, and I saw Hope drop the comment, so that's why it inspired, it ingratiated, it enlightened this fucking video. When he said the only NBA championship that LeBron James deserved was 2012. LeBron don't deserve no fucking rings. 2012 was the worst. Because what they did is they used Kevin Durant as bait. Sacrificial lamb. I remember when me and Big Dave, my brother, was talking about this shit. We went to a Miami Dolphins game. We were sitting there in the Miami Dolphins podium, in the Miami Dolphins stadium. I looked at Big Dave and I said, Kevin Durant's going to get the last laugh against LeBron James. He laughed at me. He scoffed at me. And now, where is he? La cucaracha, la cucaracha. Yo no puedo caminar. La cucaracha, la cucaracha. Yo no puedo caminar. I knew since then, man. Even before then, I knew that I had the ability to prophesy things for them to happen, and it happens exactly the way it was prophesied. It was a gift, and it's a continual gift, and also discernment like nobody's business given from the man above. And I don't take these gifts lightly, man. That's why I do my servitude. I do my penance. I do my job to give you guys these videos in the most cold-hearted, unadulterated, and cutthroat truth-teller fashion. So let's not sit here and act as if Kevin Durant failed Oklahoma City. Oklahoma City failed Kevin Durant. And if you're a real basketball head and you're using the true basketball eye test, you would fucking know this. That's the cold-hearted. That's the unadulterated. That's the cutthroat truth-teller fashion. I keep the foot on the whoop. Eeks. I keep the foot on the whoop. Nicks. Just think about that for a second. Kevin Durant would have won an NBA title in 2012 if the referee didn't get involved. If basically they didn't want LeBron James to look like the biggest bust the NBA's ever seen. And everything was played on a fair ground. And Kevin Durant was able to go to the free throw line 14 to 16 times a game. By himself, he would have willingly won that fucking series. And then the series against Golden State Warriors when they were up 3-1. If Russell Westbrook didn't get in his fucking head and just let Kevin Durant close the show out, the series would have been over. These are the realities. And Sam Presti's inept decision making. Left and fucking right. Starting with James Harden. That threw everything off kilter. Because the Oklahoma City Thunder, they built their teams off of the draft with 3 players. Kevin Durant, Russell Westbrook, and James Harden. First Kevin Durant, then Russell Westbrook, then James Harden. That was the guys they built their team off of. That was the guys they should have finished the finish of the race with. But they didn't, because they didn't see the bigger picture. If those guys would have stayed together, Oklahoma City Thunder would have been what Golden State was before Golden State. See, a lot of people don't tell you this because they're brain full of mush and brainwashed dodo heads. They're not basketball heads. That's why I laugh when people sit here and question Kevin Durant. The question is, do you fucking know basketball? Do you know your history? Or are you just a brain full of mush and a brainwashed dodo head? I keep the foot on the whoop. Eeks. I keeps the foot on the whoop. Eeks. This is He Knows Everything. Check it out. Go ahead, He Knows.